Mr. Wareham? Gardner? Myself? And Mr. Osceola.
Members are present. The first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I want to...
Ms. Gardner, is there support for the motion?
I'll support.
Support. Are there questions and deletions to the agenda?
I want to bring something up here, but it's also kind of with the fire department, so can we put something under new business under equipment, emergency equipment grant?
For the water system?
Yeah.
And that would be under new business on this agenda?
Kind of. Andy, you know about this stuff, right? You there, Andy?
I am. I guess I'm not too familiar about an emergency equipment grant. I'm familiar with equipment installment grants.
It's the one that Chris has been working on for like the loaders and ambulances and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't been involved with those.
Okay, just Chris Holmes, hey?
Purpose is an informational item.
I want to bring it up and see if we were interested. So yeah, so let's. I want it under new business if we could.
Add it under new business and proposed amendment to the agenda. Is there any other additions, deletions to the agenda?
I need some more equipment. I don't have a list of things.
Okay.
Bob, let's Are there any other additions? There has been a motion and support for the agenda and two suggested amendments. Are those making the motion and offering the support comfortable with the agenda as amended? Yes. If so, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as amended, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 4, approval of the approval of the minutes for the May 13th, 2020 meeting. In your packet, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Moved by Mr. Wareham. Is there support?
Second.
Mr. Janke. Any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Item 5, financial reports, to include other reports in your packet. You have the profit and loss, budget versus actual, balance sheet, check detail, deposit detail, and a handout this evening, the Water Secretary's report. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the reports you have?
There's no adjustments to any budget stuff yet?
Not yet. That will be the purpose of a proposed meeting at the end of the month.
Okay.
Is there a different water secretary report that you're talking about?
There should be a handout that is with your overall packet, Don.
I got it, but there's also a secretary report later. Is that different from that?
This would be the Water Secretary's report received by me today.
Yeah. I just wonder why we're doing that under finance report and not under the secretary report.
Only because I added under report. I jumped ahead.
Jump the gun.
I jumped the gun. I just didn't know why. Well, it popped into my head that I had distributed to you, and it just, as we're going through reports, I just mentioned.
So knowing that we're going to probably adjust this budget potentially at another meeting here upcoming, I'll just motion that we approve these current financial reports.
Financial reports only. I have a motion for that. Is there support?
I'll second.
Mr. Wareham. The additional comments? Not all in favor of the motion to accept the financial reports as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Payment of bills. The bills are available for review.
Pretty minor, pretty minimal.
Any questions or comments on the bills?
Motion to approve the bills, or motion to pay the bills.
I move to recommend or accept by Mr. Janke. Is there support for that? Ms. Gardner, any additional questions or comments on the motion to accept the bills presented that have been paid? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Public comment? Anyone in the audience interested in offering comment? Anyone on our Zoom or conference capability interested in offering comment? You would have up to 3 minutes. Please indicate who you are, identifying yourself, and the floor will be yours for 3 minutes.
My name is Bruce Barnes. I live at 51758 Ash Street. I had looked at the list that you guys had, and I was wondering.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep, someone's speaking right now.
Okay, thank you.
Are you referring to roads, sir? Are you referring specifically to roads?
Yes.
That is something that we could talk about briefly here, but it may be more appropriate to bring that up during the regular township board meeting that will begin immediately after the water board meeting, where we will be focusing on roads. We'd be happy to respond now, but if you're comfortable waiting until the next
I
meeting.
didn't have to wait. I just thought it was all roads, and I didn't know. Sorry, guys, sorry. No,
That's quite all right.
I'm happy you're here, so no worries.
Sorry.
Just seeking clarification, you're comfortable waiting then until we get the roads at our regular meeting?
We're so cool.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. We're two different boards.
That was confusing.
Yeah, same people, two boards. Horst, did you have comments relative to Osceola Township water?
Did you say Horst?
Yes.
Okay. It isn't just the echo effect, it's the fact that your voice is so distant that I cannot make out much of what is being said tonight. Is that going to be the situation for the regular township meeting as well?
Highly likely.
So is there any way you can speak in closer into the mic or something? I don't understand why it's such a problem tonight.
Because we're in the Tamarack City Fire Hall, and this is not our ideal location for using this meet.
Natural echo in here anyway.
I think the problem is the hall is so big, it's eating up all the sound, and so therefore it's hard to hear anyone. When
we're using a handheld telephone in the middle of a table to utilize this, and it's probably not the ideal situation. So this is as good as it's going to get.
Well, I'm not looking for ideal. I'm just looking for be able to hear better. And I think if the mic could be moved around to this particular speaker, if there's only one mic, then I would appreciate it.
We'll give it a try. Is that better?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you have a comment specific to the water board meeting?
No, I did not. I was just trying to figure out what you guys were talking about. That's why I spoke up. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Does anyone else have a comment, either via telephone or in person, specific to the water board meeting? We'll provide an opportunity at the end of the meeting should someone care to offer comment. Please note the time that we began public comment. Reports. Water operators report. Bob, the floor is yours. Excuse me.
We did, meter reads in Tamarack on May 1st, and that went fine. Back tees for Tamarack and Dollar Bay were negative for this month. Back tee for Dollar Bay in the middle of the month, I got a negative on that, and partial chemistry results, I haven't received that yet. They were sent the same date on the 19th. We did some standpipe repairs. A ton of missed dig tickets have been coming over lately. 15 work orders. Just to mention some items, it's MDOT rail concerning the line from Dollar Bay to Mason. A gentleman was there last year and did a lot of measurements and stuff, and I did talk to him lately, and he kind of said, it's our problem.
So where my concern is that section, we talked a little bit about this actually, and we could have probably put this as its own item on the agenda a little bit, but there is some significantly damaged sections of the trail that have some pretty good gouges in them and are probably significantly less than 7 feet deep now at this point, as far as the water line goes. I don't know, I thought there was a place where it was nearly exposed, but I could be wrong about that. It might have been something else that I was seeing there. There might have been another utility that I was actually seeing. I don't know for sure, but, yeah, I think there is something else there, but, I do know that just west of the entrance to the sand, there's some really good gullies there that got, and I don't know what we can do about it. And this is what I was talking with Mark about it too, and it kind of is a concern. I mean, obviously it's a water main and it's a lot less likely to freeze, but you know, it doesn't have the coverage, I don't think, anymore that it had at one time. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm overblowing it, but it sure would be nice to have that graded out and have that fixed so that we're maintaining our coverage over our utility line. That's only, yeah.
Yeah, that's, when I talked to this MDOT rail guy, he's, like, the reason I called him is because they put all the trails on indefinite hold, and that's why I called him to see about that chunk there, and he was telling me, well, he's got $4 million worth of repairs on these rail lines, and I'm only talking about 2,000 feet, you know, and he basically told me it's our problem.
I mean, I almost feel like you can get somebody with a dozer or a grader out there and give them a couple days to probably get most of that material back into place, enough to at least make sure we're covered, maybe with a few loads of something here and there. Maybe it's not a big deal, you know, but you know, we're not talking about long stretches here. We're just talking about certain areas. I mean, the stretch between Montreal Road and the highway is pretty good. It's the stretch between the highway intersection and the sand entryway that I feel is got some really bad erosion concerns that our pipe is got significantly less sections, just small sections, you know, but there's significantly less depth of coverage there in those sections.
Another problem, concern with that, behind the car dealership, we did have a cut made through the berm to drain that big long stretch that's,
Okay.
like a swamp.
Yeah, I know what you're
And
talking about.
somebody, I can tell you who did it, somebody filled it in with rock so the water can't get out of there because this guy doesn't want people going through there.
How deep of a cut was that anyway?
Well, we probably went down about 2 feet, 2.5 feet, and it would have drained that swamp out, but like I said, he filled it in with rocks and it's not draining.
Maybe that's another thing we need to look at, but
Mark,
In an
I showed Mark that also.
In an effort to protect our utility, you may have to consider something here, I think. And I don't think the fiber optic people have as much to worry about because it's not a subject to weather, I guess is what I.
If I may add just a comment to what Bob said. He alerted me to this several days ago. We toured the area, and we're both working our way through the MDOT rail staff to get an answer to the question about somebody assisting us to finance. And in an earlier conversation today, Bob, it did indicate that he would bring it up during his report. I have two more people to call in Lansing, and it's my intent to reach them before the weekend. I've had meaningful conversations with people in the Upper Peninsula and below the bridge, but they're all moving it to the next person up the rung. And my hope is I'll finally reach someone that can say, yes, we can help, or here's why we can't, but you've got the latitude to do it yourself, which is what you're implying, Aaron. And I think if we have to, we'll take it.
That's the last resort, but
Yeah.
I'm saying it may be something we have to consider.
Exactly.
And you know, and I'm not talking the whole line, that's a pretty specific area, you know, that has this erosion issue.
If we take care of the area by the culvert, the point I think you're making and the area you're referring to, and we remove the debris from the cut, that area will drain and we'll have fill back over the culvert, and the eroded areas, but it's not something that we would take on without the understanding and latitude, at least as I understand it, from MDOT rail. That this is their responsibility, and we need to, if they aren't going to assist us, I would assume we need permission from them or latitude from them to correct it, and that's why we're working our way up. I think I had 3 conversations today, and I'm now inside the building in Lansing with the calls tomorrow to the 2 people. I talked, thanks to you, Aaron, and to Bob for previous conversations, but I'm not making any headway, I'm just talking to different people.
Good. Well, so that's why I had this point then, I guess, and we'll have to see where it goes, and we should probably make sure we keep an eye on it for the
Absolutely.
next few meetings here.
When I talked to MDOT Rail, he did take measurements and he proposed replacing a couple more of those culverts that need to be replaced. You know, and then I know one was gonna be changed altogether.
Okay.
Just to
I
help
mean,
drain
we're
that.
below most of the solvers, right? We're below
Yeah, oh yeah,
by a few feet, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure, but, yeah.
like I said, I'm not concerned about the rest of the rail line, I'm only concerned about that.
That one section there.
I said, well, you know, I told him, I says, well, what if we have a main break there and I can't get through it? Basically said, it's your problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
I said, what about the $20,000 franchise fee that we paid? We don't have any record of that. Well, I don't know if you found anything.
Not yet, still digging.
I know we paid it.
Those days we'll find it.
Okay.
Excuse me if I did interject. Bob, would you like to continue your report, Aaron?
No, that's fine, sounds like we're.
Bob, anything else?
Wait, that
Before I get to a permit?
Just real quick on the 6th Street there, running that, I've been up there a couple of times on the water, going up 6th Street, that repair for that storm drain. And also on Osprey, that new house, I did get a hold of MGO and they came down and looked at it to bore across Osprey Avenue to do feeds for that, actually the garage and then the new house that's in the back. He thought he could just do one hookup fee, but I mean, it's two separate buildings, yeah.
Okay.
So that's where we are at that. And, like I said, the needs on, stuff that I need to order to get some of this stuff done. You know, I'm looking at least $5,000 if I can get your approval. I'll just, you know, price the stuff and,
Stopper, saddle, corp stop, those kinds of things.
yep. Yeah. Stuff that we need.
What is the stuff below that? What is that separate stuff below that?
That's just a start of,
Your list for,
yeah, so Aaron and I can try to figure something out.
motion to recommend up to the full board up to $5,000 for Bob to make supply purchases. Did I understand your motion correctly? Is there support for Mr. Worm's motion?
I'll second.
Ms. Gardner supported. Any additional discussion on the motion to recommend to the full board up to $5,000 for equipment purchases for the water system manager? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to make the recommendation to the full board to spend up to $5,000 on equipment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Bob, anything else? Thank you. Any additional comments, questions of Bob? Hearing none, as I indicated earlier, the Water Secretary's report is distributed for you. Hopefully you've had a chance to review it. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns about the Water System Secretary's report? Anything at all? Hearing none. Item 9, unfinished business. Is there anything that is left over from previous meetings that perhaps just occurred to us and you'd like to bring up under unfinished business?
Anything on, ordinance changes?
At this moment, under development, but not yet. Thank you for the reminder. We're working on ordinances generally right now. Thanks for keeping that in front of us. Anything else?
So the bill usage is for just...
You're going back to Bob, Aaron?
No, I'm more on the Secretary's report, actually.
Okay.
Here. Just get into it. So I just want to make sure that the monthly well pumpage is through the 20th of... through the 20th of May? Is that?
You're talking about from,
I'm talking about this thing, no, our pumpage report.
oh, yeah, that's for the month of May.
And then this is also, this build usage, is that, do we know if that's for the month of May too, or is that just May?
That one that Christina printed?
Yeah, or is that 2 months?
The dollar bill one?
Yeah.
That's 2 months. It was, February.
So we pumped, in 1 month, we pumped 4.5 million gallons. And in 2 months, we billed 1.8 million gallons. Well, if that works, that's, if you divide that in half, it's a lot of wasted water. Something's up. Okay, I'm just pointing out that I see something not clicking here to me here. I didn't think it was this bad right now, but something is, if this is what I'm thinking, if this is 2 months worth of billing, and this is 1 month's worth of pumping,
We're losing a ton of money.
yeah, we're losing, that's like 400% loss.
I mean, it's not exactly the month, this is...
I understand, but in general, it's a 30-month period, or a 30-day period versus a 60-day period. Just throwing that out there so people, I don't know, Bob, this is something, ooh, okay.
Let's look into it, find an explanation, we'll talk to the water secretary.
I don't remember it being quite that bad before. I don't know.
Seems like, for some reason, it seems like we're using a lot more water lately,
Okay.
than normal. For this time of year, especially with the rain.
Yeah, something is, that's a lot of water.
That's over half.
If we were to take this and times it by 2, that'd be 9 million gallons versus only 2 million gallons billed.
We'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah, that's far worse than the last time.
Far worse, and we have it in the minutes that it wasn't as bad as we thought, and now that I'm looking at this, it's,
There's gotta be an explanation, we'll flush it out
okay,
for the
thanks.
next meeting.
thanks.
Anything else unfinished? If not, new business. Mr. Jenke, new equipment grant?
Yeah, so I've been talking with Chris the last, and, there's a grant out there that he's been working on, and he got it for the climate already, and I think they're gonna get another one, or one of them they got for
This is
climate.
the audio. Is the message for the video?
For emergency purposes. And they're gonna get a excavator, they're going for another one for an excavator.
I thought they got.
So how it works is it's got a maximum of $50,000, and they pay up to 55% of the cost of the piece of equipment. So I asked, I don't know what a backhoe costs these days, but I'm just throwing it out there that it qualifies if we say we need this in case we have a break, or, for cleaning out hydrants, for instance, for emergency services. I'm just throwing it out there that it's possible that you could get a significant with this grant, if we want to consider it. It might be something, if we were ever going to look at something like this kind of a piece of equipment to have for our water department, this might be the time. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Take a look. We have something like that, it would make, filling in the, roads and running culverts on the railroad.
I mean, it just to have it, I mean, things are changing with Julio and stuff too, so some of that stuff is not going to necessarily be the same as it was, and I don't know. So I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe that's something you could split between the two water departments. Maybe you could somehow put the fire department in there with it. I'm not sure.
Take a look.
So I was going to propose to talk about it for the fire department. I also wanted to talk about it with the, maybe for the ambulance or something, because the ambulance is getting a little, ain't the best ambulance. So. I can't remember exactly. I think it's
If there's something you could forward me.
yeah, what we need to do is we need to talk with Chris Holmes at my office, because he's already successfully procured this grant for a loader, and he's getting one for a excavator right now. I don't know, just throwing it out there. And the other kind of thing we could do is we could look at it for an ambulance or something for the first responders.
I'll give them a call.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anything else on that?
No, that's unfortunately that's all I have.
Any questions, Mayor? We'll pursue this from the office. Thank you. Before we adjourn, anybody that has decided that they would like to offer public comment to the Osceola Township Water Board, provide your last opportunity. Anyone? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion.
Ms. Houle, support?
Support.
Mr. Jenke, all in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. The Osceola Township Water Board stands adjourned. The Township Board will convene in about 2 or 3 minutes. Please bear with us.
Yeah, they're not. There's a lot of out there, and that people are getting it. So, and I was thinking, man, if we wanted to do a new ambulance, might be the time too, I don't know. But they only do 55%, so you'd have to come up with the other.
We've got money in reserve, and we'll convene at
I
6:35.
don't know if I consider it for a fire truck. I mean, a fire truck's $200,000 minimum, so. So, this is the agreement, right?
But there's nothing in there about your
It isn't in there, though, eh? But I know we did.
there's no, not to, there's no, what the resolution. I don't remember.
I appreciate you looking for that for me. Yeah, I'll look through it. I'm gonna look through it and make sure. What I'm under my understanding is the time. Somebody from that township asked us how we I was passing on the memories. Yeah, I was trying to do it from memory, answered his email, and all I got back was another email with 10 more questions, so I don't know if this is working out in my favor or not, but
I'm gonna try to be 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
Let me know when it's 6:35 and I will call the meeting to order.
Make sure when you're talking to keep the phone by you, because they can't, just when you're talking, make sure it's by you, because they're not able to hear you
Okay.
if it's down there.
All right, I'll do my best to speak up and,
I'll just, is it rude if I just say, hey, can you move the phone?
no,
Like, if you
absolutely
didn't-
not.
okay.
Under the circumstances, anything to accomplish the objective. And I think I'm gonna keep my mask down here so
Can hear you better.
people
Yeah.
can hear me better. There's plenty of distance between us.
We're ready.
Is everyone ready? We'll call the meeting of the Osceola Township Board to order. Roll call attendance, please.
Mr. Jenke? Here. Mr. Wareham? Ms. Gardner? Here. Mr. Hopela?
Yes.
Oh.
The third item on our agenda is pledge allegiance. Would you please rise and join us? Face the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please be seated. The first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll motion.
Ms. Hool, is there support for the motion? Ms. Gardner, is there discussion on any additions, deletions, or possible corrections to the agenda?
I would like to move the road commission office for Osceola Township roads to the beginning. Higher up, anyway, just not the exact.
So,
That way a lot of people would have to sit through all their normal things.
may I offer an addition to that, Mr. Wareham? Just a suggestion that after approval of the agenda and approval of the minutes, we call for the reports from Travis Engineering, UP Engineering, and then go into the Road Commission offer for Osceola Township. Would that be acceptable, sir? And we would take public comment after that. So there's a suggestion that we amend the agenda to move all of the engineering reports and the Road Commission offers up to what would be item 6 or 5A. An organizational or format agenda. Any other comments, additions, deletions proposed by the members of the board to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda then with the correction or format change as offered? Is there support? And support. Any additions? Nothing? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda with a format change as suggested to move the engineering reports and the Road Commission offer for Osceola Township up under approval of the minutes, item 5A. That is the motion for approval of the agenda. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our May 13th meeting? Mr. Ware moves a motion to approve the minutes. Is there support? Mr. Janke, any corrections, additions, deletions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5A on our agenda is receipt of reports. First report will be from John Paul Pedala from Travis Engineering.
The Sixth Street Storm Sewer Project is underway now. Bob referenced, we talked about it today. They're in front of Gus Freedy's house right now. Today was water pumping day, didn't lay any pipe. Water, still, trenches filled with water today. Start tomorrow, they should be done, weather permitting, here in about a week. And then the county project, road project will come through after to fix that road all the way up to the end. So that's the Sixth Street project, part of the FEMA, the biggest project that you have as Osceola Township is part of the FEMA project. The other one, I had mentioned this before, there'll be a project put together with Sandy Bottom, down at the Sandy Bottom Boat Launch, to remove the debris, replace a culvert there, do some parking lot work, do some beach cleanup and sand in the beach area. And that'll be lumped together with the sediment cleaning on Avenue A, up there between Webbin's house and Mary Ringler's, behind there. And the little, on the road to the reservoir, there's a small little, where that culvert crosses about halfway down towards Carlson's there, there's a little slough in the embankment. It's just a minor restoration thing, but that'll all be lumped into one little project. So that's, hopefully towards the end of the summer, we'll bid something out, or sooner than that, but the work will probably be done towards the fall on them items. The two other FEMA projects, I mentioned this before, were debris removal projects, one for Hungarian, one for Gooseneck. The Hungarian one was essentially done with the road commission replacement of the culverts there. When they did, they cleaned out below there, and the worry was that it would back up and flood the houses there, but that's all been cleaned out, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do on that project really, because it's mostly been done through the county project. The other one was the Gooseneck. Again, this is the one that, you know, Steve had talked about this one since the flood happened. Obviously, it flooded down to the road. The last 2 years, nothing has happened there. There is still some debris in the woods. I think we gotta have the guy from the DEQ come there, this Hunter King, to look at it and see if there's something that we could do. We do have some money for it, but, again, that's something that would be done later. And it's not a major project, so that's about it. Was I 237?
Any questions from board members or from Paul? From the standpoint of the FEMA project?
I don't know if any of it was, I know that both of those culverts there in Woodside were in pretty bad shape, and I don't know if
I think they're done, if I recall correctly.
we had anything to do with that or not. I don't know, it was all
I can follow up with Kevin Hardy from the Road Commission and ask him.
it wasn't the gooseneck project, it was
No.
There's a little bit of paving, I think, in there, actually. In this whole county project. Those patches they put over those culverts, yeah, I think so. Yeah, there is a separate little project for that. That's a county project.
I'll follow up with the Road Commission and get an answer to that question as to, if they're not done, we'll get a start.
While we're talking about FEMA stuff here, I didn't know where that was at with that, so. Okay. But that wasn't a part of your.
No. Anything else? John Paul, anything else to add? No. Well, thank you very much, sir. I hope that you're able to make your next meeting on time. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Jim Costamini is on.
Okay. It's my understanding that Mr. Costanimi's on representing UP Engineering for an update on the Mason Sewer project. Jim, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As far as the Mason project, things are moving forward. We're still on track for closing in July, hopefully by mid-July, and getting a shovel in the ground, hopefully shortly after that. There's a slight change in the bonding type, working with rural development and Steve Mann. And I think, Mark, you'll probably be addressing some of the things that Steve Mann had found as far as why the change to the bond type that we're going after for this project. It actually simplifies the process because we no longer have to go through Treasury with what's called a purchase equipment bond. The bond amount for this project is only $58,000. So there's plenty of equipment to use this bond. So that is going to keep us moving forward. And matter of fact, I'm sitting here, Steve Mann and with Miller Canfield and Brenda Stevenson are sharing emails as we speak, putting all the paperwork together for this this equipment bond. So what will probably be required is we probably will have to have a special meeting though, to pass the bond resolution for this equipment purchase bond. That'll probably have to take place towards the end of June. Once I get confirmation from Steve Mann that the resolution is ready to go, we'll schedule that. Other than that, the notice of award is going out to the contractor now. So he'll start working on his bond, getting his bonds and the agreements all put together. So we can have that all in place and ready to go after we close on the loan. I'm starting to work on the public meeting handouts that we will have with the residents. And we'll, like I mentioned at the last meeting, we'll do that. We'll have a pre-con with the contractor, and then we'll have, it's almost like a pre-construction meeting with the residents to introduce them to all the players, and they'll get to see how they're gonna move through Mason with their work and what to be aware of. And so that'll take place right after the pre-con, maybe the same day or the next day type of a thing. So that's kind of where we're headed, and I don't know if there's any questions.
Anyone have any questions of Mr. Constantine? Anyone? On your agenda, to dovetail something into what Jim has shared with us, under new business, item D, special meeting of the Township Board specific to resources and budget. What he referenced earlier about information coming up from Steve-Men is on that agenda as well. So it's our intent to address financial issues generally and specifically at that meeting. There was reference to that meeting at the Water Board meeting as well, but the material coming up from Brenda and from Steve Mann will be available to us prior to that meeting for review, and will require action on our part, as Jim has indicated. So wanted to take advantage of Jim's presence and dovetail that item on our agenda into the discussion with him.
Okay. Mark,
Anybody have?
What's
Sorry,
the date?
Jim?
What's the date of that special meeting?
The tentative date at this moment is the 24th of June, 2 weeks from tonight, at the Township office in Dollar Bay, beginning at 6 p.m.
Okay, I'll see if Steve Mann can have the notice or the resolution ready for that meeting. And I'll let you know.
Thanks, Jim. Yep. It is subject to change if there is a slight delay, but it appears to be the best available date for members of the board at this moment. And I think based on earlier discussions, it provides ample time for the information that is under development or being forwarded to be completed and sent to us.
Sounds good.
Any questions, comments from anyone? Board members? Hearing none. Jim, thank you very much for your participation tonight.
All right,
We'll
thank
stay in
you.
touch. You're welcome, sir.
Have a good
The
night.
next item, good night. The next item would be road commission offers for Osceola Township, specific to roads. There are handouts available that include maps and 2 offers from the road commission. We have an opportunity in Tamarack City and elsewhere in the township to a lesser degree, resources permitting, to take advantage of the FEMA projects around the Father's Day flood damage from 2018. That work is underway. It has been referenced a couple of times already this evening, work that has started in Tamarack City on 6th Street. It includes road repair and the installation of a new storm drain. While those discussions were underway as to that project, discussions began between members of the Osceola Township Board and the Road Commission about other opportunities in Osceola Township and opportunities specific to Tamarack City. There are options available for board consideration this evening, and we would invite the public to participate in the discussion about this as we go through them. One option, of course, would be to allow the FEMA work to proceed even without involvement of the township relative to repairs to roads in Tamarack City. The first offer that is up for consideration was the initial offer that came in May of this year from the Road Commission to us to extend some of the work that is being done by FEMA to pave or resurface other roads in Tamarack City to improve roads generally and take advantage of the construction company's availability and rate offer through the Road Commission to have work done. If you look at the handout, and for the board members it would be the May John Sema offer, it does include paving of the gravel road off of, I believe, Spruce Street running up to 26, which is in essence an alley. That would have been paved in that offer. It needn't be. You'll notice that there's a number of culvert type equipment, pipes et al., down at the M26 entry to that alley for work at the bottom of Tamarack Hill. There is a second offer that is the result of a conversation between Road Commission Assistant or Deputy Engineer, Mr. Sema, and Mr. Wareham and I, relative to all of Tamarack City's roads, where we asked for a bid to resurface, upgrade where applicable, et cetera, the roads throughout the east and west sides of M26 roadways in Tamarack City proper. Not going up Tamarack Hill, not going up to Onika Road, but instead focusing almost exclusively in this offer on the community, and also taking under consideration the offer for First Street and Dollar Bay, though part of the package unrelated to work being done down here. So there is a second estimate for that. That would be the third offer or option. The fourth option for consideration tonight by the board is a hybrid of the first and second, or inclusion of some of the second items into the first project, where work would be done primarily east of M26, with the work west of M26 waiting for a future date. Resources are in the $100,000 range, roughly, in our township funds for this precinct, with an addition of funds that hasn't been fully, I think it's been entered, I'm looking at Krista, but the final figure is not available at this moment as anything more than an estimate. We do have obligations on the 6th Street project, approximately $25,000 of our available money is part of that project to bring the storm drain and the roadway, primarily for the storm drain, to extend fully down from where the FEMA project would end to M26. So we have at this moment, I'm again looking at Krista for confirmation, based on the worksheet you presented for review, is about 124,000, just under 125,000 available funds, with some money that has been recently added. So we have enough revenue in the account to do any one of the aforementioned options. There is one addition to the cost not covered in the handout, and that is the necessity of raising perhaps storm drain entrances, but certainly raising manhole covers that are part of the sewer system's responsibility generally, but they would have to be raised to accommodate the resurfacing of the roadways. So that is, I hope, a fairly clear rendition of what is under consideration this evening by the Township Board. What is the board's pleasure? Would you prefer to open it up for comment at this time from the community? Begin discussion, or ask?
Those are affecting him and talking
Yep.
to two individuals, they have some concerns on it.
Yep.
So I'd like to know what they are, so everybody realizes.
Then,
I mean, they had mentioned something about going on a concrete driveway is a problem, and I think if you have a concrete driveway, you should have listened to them.
exactly.
What a free driveway. Huh? That's a free driveway. Imagine up to the road right now. You throw it in sand, and it's over to a pretty good. You know, there is out here. When you reach the highway, what do you do? And then when I got my own, I don't know, this guy was here.
Jay's indicating he projects well without the telephone, so.
You know, I mean, you know, and you just mentioned the storm group, that was one of the things, now that's another thing that, you know, okay, they're gonna do. But, I mean, around town, everybody's driving, I mean, it's easy to pick a gravel, but there's more of them that are blacktop than concrete than not, you know? You know more about that stuff than I do, your contract. Well, it doesn't seem like a big problem to me. Have to cut something up and let it in. You just can't put it on top and, you know, I've seen it done like that, it just lays off, I mean, it's a half-assed job. It's not gonna last. This grader will move it, you know, this winter it'll all be in there for a year.
Other comments? We'll consider this an open dialogue, so please feel free to offer.
Yeah, we need the comments.
Questions, concerns, comments.
We have to decide on the 4 options, so.
I would say, you can't do no better now, you can't. You're too embarrassed. Driveway, one, all manhole cover, everything. It's curvy, everything. You can't do no better. It's not gonna work. You gotta do a grind research. So I would say you take the money, find the worst streets. For example, you're coming down Spruce to the intersection up to the highway on Third. Okay, I would say from here, Third up to Maple, that is the worst that night in town, one of them. I would take that, do that, grind research. And then, you know, go from there.
Third is being ground and resurfaced, that's part of it.
Not all the way up.
But you're talking.
No, not all the way up there, no, just on that side.
Yeah, I'm saying, if, you know, you do that already. You're already doing Third Street there, continue up to Maple. Maple's not in bad shape. It's got cuts in it, but it's not like this. And Third is horrible. And Third Street, same thing, when they went through and did the water, NGO did a crappy job. They didn't compact it, all their cuts same.
Well, Second Street, same way.
Yeah.
You wanna go left or right over there, Second Street, you have the same problem.
Right.
Well, as you know, where you should have, you should have go like this and over. And here it's trying to overlay. Couple years time, you're gonna have bigger bets with the overlay than you do in the
From M26 up Second to Maple, that's fine. That's great. But yeah, and very correct, yeah. You know, if you want to continue on, go right down Spruce, come out right up to M26.
that's one of the options.
That's on it? Okay, but that's a grind reserve.
So that, the options we're looking at is, okay, let's get that half the town done, and then they come back again and get this half the town done, but do it properly, like the way you guys are talking. But we don't have that cost in here yet, because we didn't ask you for that.
Is it possible to, except for the concrete driveways, is it possible to take a 2 or 3 foot section off of a driveway approach and maybe do one less street or something like that, and then use that money to do a bunch of small approach sections where you can blend from the existing to the new edge?
You know, in some ways we're about here like that, some ways not, because of the elevation. You know, now you're adding 2 more inches, you know.
Well, you're gonna have a 2-inch bump, there's no doubt about it, I mean, but it'll be over 3 feet. I'm not talking a garage driveway, I'm talking 3 feet from the edge to technically, we would only ever have to do anyway to the right of way. You don't have to, you have to have a permit to get onto the, county permit anyway. So all we're responsible for would be from the edge of the right of way to the road. And if you guys have concrete or something that goes up beyond the right of way, you ain't supposed to have it. Period. That's true. You're not supposed to have it.
No.
He'll tell you that you're not. I don't care. I know what the rules are. And if he gave it to you, you weasel it out of it. So I'm just telling you what it is. So you're not supposed to have it, and there's a reason you're not supposed to have it, because and they'll tell you why you're not supposed to have it, because you can't obstruct their vehicles with concrete right there, and you can't obstruct their potential paving, because it's not your property. So all you need to do is go up to the right of way, and I'm asking, you could take a small approach section, which we do on a lot of projects everywhere, and take that section of the pavement out and blend it, but you would probably need money from one of the other streets to do it, you know. It would, because you got a lot of approach sections, and that's expensive because it's almost handwork, you know what I mean, you know. So you're gonna have an expensive part there, you know.
You still got gravel for all the shoulders, maybe that's 2 inches of gravel everything. Yes, you do, there's no lemon in it, it's gravel.
May I
They do a lot of overlays, just about everywhere.
Can I get a question in here, based on the conversation? Of the people participating, either teleconference or Zoom, or present in the fire hall, is the consensus that Maple Street is in pretty good shape, and really, it would be acceptable not to work Maple Street at this time as part of the project, but say, bring, as has been suggested, some of the numbered streets that are in need of repair. 6th is being done. 3rd has been identified here, just outside the door here, to the north and east, is a road that cross M26 that would be redone conceivably up to Maple and stop. So minimal impact on residents. Get this road cleaned up right here, and focus on the streets on the east side where much of the work is already scheduled to be done to upgrade. Does that make sense to people? And save the resurfacing of Maple for a future date.
But we still have, there's infinite Larry's on Spruce Lake Land.
Yeah.
And he's talking the same that Stephen and Jay are talking about. If we're gonna do Spruce all the way, grind it down and resurface it properly, not just coating over it. So that's a totally different cost when we have anything in here. But you're taking $38,000 away from the project by not doing Maple. So I think it's gonna interchange, we're still gonna have the same amount of money spent, but a better overall product on half the street. But again, it's another going back and getting another estimate.
Well, I'm to call John Sema with the outcome of tonight's meeting tomorrow morning, and he's going to be pricing manhole covers for us, and we'll have that information available. Okay.
Why is that?
So there is a lot of work, as you can see from the maps and the descriptors, that is already either in the works as part of the FEMA project. For example, down off of Spruce, where the culvert is, all that gravel is going to be resurfaced, and they're extending out, and there's about a 160-foot section, is it, at the end that runs down Spruce over, is it the Osprey or where, that they're cleaning up down Lake Shore? And they're bringing it this way on Spruce up towards Third, but not all the way up.
Goes to the back.
Yeah.
If you look at the flag, it's there back.
So, but that's all done by FEMA. Their offer is to extend that up or to resurface or to grind.
Trying to resurface up to Third and
Yep.
work up to the highway.
Yep.
That back by the town line. Make more sense, I guess.
Just a matter of how much the grinding part costs.
Yeah.
Right.
And we should have an estimate on that as quickly as the weekend.
I mean, if you could even get a number on, you know, just a linear foot number or something like that on grinding costs, probably quickly come up with something, at least to have a rough idea.
Are there additional questions, comments, or concerns from anyone in the audience in the building or participating via Zoom or teleconference?
The only other comments I'll add too is an overlay, I brought this up to you in the past already, is that overlays, when you don't fix the foundation, building anything on top of it can kind of be a sketchy business. And when you have bad roads with bad cracks and stuff in it, and I know that you said you looked at some of this stuff, but I just want to reiterate again for the public record.
Well made.
That, if you just cover it over, a lot of times those cracks are gonna come right back through in a year or two. So, you know, I mean, I know what I said earlier about a possible solution for that, but from my engineering point of view, I definitely think that you wanna at least try to do it right more than just try to slap a Band-Aid on it.
I agree. Yeah.
When foundation's bad, it just keeps coming through. I mean, you see MDOT here, when they try to keep covering it over, and those cracks year after year, they just keep coming right back. You know, I mean, is that a waste of $100,000 if we do that? You know, I'm not saying, I personally haven't walked every road like you guys, but I've walked enough of them to know that some of those cracks are gonna come right back. That's my other last bit of information that I wanna add.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, ideas? What is the board's pleasure as to how they would like to proceed?
How much time do we have for this decision?
My understanding is that we're dealing in a window of several days to possibly a week to a week and a half.
I mean, in order to take advantage of them being here and this good pricing, I'm assuming a choice here is, we're gonna have to, if we're gonna make some kind of motion here, we're gonna have to give you some leeway to operate here. Is that true, or?
The 24th is 2 weeks away. Is that too late to discuss?
I can ask in the morning, there is certainly the option to hold a special meeting if we get a new cost estimate based on the discussion this evening to grind and resurface all that we choose to do. We would possibly need another meeting fairly quickly. I did intend to call Mr. Sema first thing in the morning, like between 8 and 9, with the results of tonight's meeting.
And then he would probably come back and we could get a new estimate for him probably in a couple of days, right?
We could ask him to join us in a day or two, or as soon as possible, and estimate what work we believe can be done with the resources, or is within the budget that we have available, understanding that if, though not everyone that lives on Maple, a representative sample, if I may say, is indicating that the road is still in pretty good shape. And having driven it several times in the last few days, I'm not gonna argue, but, with you, but also that some of the entry roads, like Third right here, could use a grinding and resurfacing to bring that up to a much safer and better level of performance going forward. It may not have to be done again for a couple of decades. I added the last part based on earlier conversation. But, again, calling for comment. Is there anybody here or listening in that would like to add anything to this conversation? Please. Gentlemen, hang on.
I see Third to Ash Street, I was wondering if that included, Dover Creek, the little, creek that keeps getting washed out, on that street.
Back up in here.
Yeah, it's kind of a hazard, I mean, it's not much traffic that goes there, but I see many cars, 'cause Google Maps still thinks it's the road, so many people still go down there, but there's nothing there. And a few toddlers roaming around the area as well, I'm concerned with the toddlers that are down there.
I don't believe it was specifically identified as part of the discussion. But it's
So I
certainly,
didn't know who was like kind of responsible or who financially was responsible and how I should better go about it. Because I think it just affects my family, so if it's my thing, I just need clarification from the council to put something there to kind of stop or help anyone in my fault.
we need to determine status of the road, do we not? Is Ash
Sounds like
still-
that's the first thing we need to try and
Yeah.
find out.
We need to find out the status of the road, and if it is a road that has not been abandoned, or
If it's
is
a-
still
if it's a
under the,
legal right of way.
does the road commission plow the road in the winter?
So, and that's the tricky part as well, in the winter, if you were saying the plow kind of comes down and kind of let the snow kind of drift off into the river, so I didn't know if that was something the council kind of wanted to happen, and that's why there's nothing there, so I'm unsure what's happening.
Let me ask the question tomorrow as to the status of Ash off of Maple in Tamarack City. I'll inquire of John Seema in the morning. Can you note that for me?
Yeah. Can you leave your name and number with me when you go, so he can get back with you? Okay.
How would the board like to proceed?
So I just want to clarify, at this time, are we as a board in agreement? It sounds like, to be honest with you, it's this precinct's money. They're the ones that are, you know, I mean, obviously we're the caretakers of it, and I'll defer to Mark and Don more than anything, but is it, this board, are we in agreement that at this time we're not gonna do any overlay stuff? We're gonna change from the overlay to the grind and is that where we're going?
Grind and resurface.
Grind and resurface.
That would be part of any motion.
I'm assuming there's a little rough grade and then a grind and a little rough grade and then a resurface. I'm assuming that's what's going on.
You still have.
Is that similar to Sixth Street and,
First Street?
First Street and Dollar Bay? Is that kind of what we're talking here, or?
First Street.
I mean, we spent $100,000 on that one, and then they have an estimate right here for the same thing for this one's for,
It's $105,000.
this one's for First Street, and this one's 105. Not the same thing. Grind, grade, and repave. So if that's what we're talking about, I mean, this gets us, for this particular one, this gets us 1,650 feet.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
So is that what we're talking right there?
This, yeah. We haven't determined that we're gonna do any one of the floor yet. I think that's what our special.
Well,
But anyway, yeah.
I don't know if we want to have a, I'm of the opinion that we agree with that, and we're gonna get approximately 1,650 feet. I'm almost saying, I'm fine with telling Mark to pick the best 650 and go for it.
Well, see, you're looking at 1,650 feet, right? On there.
Right.
Okay. A lot of the surface regrinding is already in that 20.
Yeah, so
early estimate.
you're showing me here that this is what we're talking right now.
This is what we're talking right now.
From
Not even that,
the
because-
ball course all the way up to the highway?
No, because this is already in the first estimate. So you're talking
Oh, this little
this,
section
this, and this little section.
might be close.
That's what I'm thinking. We're still gonna be in that $90,000 to $100,000 range.
Right.
I think we're fine, but that's the new estimate. I'll look at.
What's the board's pleasure?
I mean, if
don't know
that,
if you make a
if
decision
everybody,
without the estimate.
yeah, but we can say, if everybody agrees that this is what needs to be done with that $100,000 more than anything else, we can give you a maximum spending limit to go get.
The board can authorize a ceiling with an expectation of what will be done, and it can identify, the additions to the roadways such as Third Street here from 26 to Maple being part of that project, along with at least initially covering the manhole and the upgrades to the storm drains if applicable.
So, and you guys are in agreement that this is a,
Let me show this to the Tamarack residents, and I think they will. They know the street, yeah.
if that's the case, I'm fine with making a motion to do that with the ceiling of whatever remains available in our budget.
The current ceiling offer is 94.5.
Is that what's left in our budget?
No, we have probably a little over 100,000 after we cover the cost of the storm drain on Sixth Street, which we've already committed to, which is about 25,000
I guess
of the 84 that Siler did.
I don't feel like cutting something short if we need to cut it short. I feel like I'm willing to make a motion to give you authorization to spend up to any remaining funds not allocated to another project. Are we okay?
I think they're in agreement of what we got here on this map. But I'll show you.
Okay, all the stuff we went over with John east of M26 being ground replaced.
Third is really part of the earliest, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so we're talking this little section down to the end of Third.
yeah,
Back to the highway.
yeah.
And then right over here.
Right over here.
I mean, in realization, doing this is probably going to need another
Right, but that's all part of
6 to 10 years before you got enough money in there to do again, anything again. Once we do this. Absolutely. And you guys are, those are good?
Is everybody
Okay.
comfortable with the discussion so far? I'm ready to call for a motion. Are there any additional questions, comments, or concerns? Noting that the inquiry will also include what's going on with Ash Street off of Maple, correct? I have Ash off of Third, I'm sorry, Ash off of Third.
the little section of.
Yeah. Okay. I stand corrected, thank you. Do I have a motion to go forward with road repairs, upgrades in Tamarack City Precinct 1?
I have a motion.
I will make that motion, but only line surface and redo it, not.
I'd like that motion to just cover this specific area that we've agreed to, and there's some streets here that we need to talk about with limits. And then I want the ceiling on the spending limit to be, as long as we're sure that the other project isn't gonna need any more, we're sure that I move to make the ceiling the remainder of non-allocated funds that are currently in that budget line item.
Up to.
Up to the top of the currently non-allocated funds. But, my motion, I kinda want my motion to include some limits here of these specific streets. Which, you may wanna write this, can you do this here?
You want Third Street done from, Maple to the dead end.
Well, some of this has already been done, you said.
Well, I think it's part of the first estimate, we're still responsible for getting it.
So we're gonna do the whole thing, okay, all right, yep.
From Maple down to the dead end. From M26 to the end of the people line. And then we are gonna do from the end of Osceola.
And we're also doing Third here, are we not, from M26 to Maple?
That's covering Third, yes. That's covering Third from
Yeah.
Maple to the dead end.
Oh, got it, okay.
And what was the last one you just said? They got
the end
through-
of Osprey to where, the end of the FEMA project on Osprey to 6.
So my last question is, if you have to give something up, we should probably agree now where that should be.
There are two roads past Sixth Street running over towards Seventh and Eighth that were part of the project too, that were covered, part of the original bid.
And part of my I can't explain this to you where it is. It's hard. There's a place behind where the fan house and all that stuff is. It's like they're paving it. It's been gravel forever. So we can take that off. That's part of our cost, I do believe, if we needed that little bit of extra. But it's hard to explain what that is. FEMA's doing the one coming down. I don't think they're going all the way
They
that
may
way.
be covering that. We're taking the surfacing of this alley here.
Right.
$13,000, we're not gonna pave that. The alley is gonna stay upgraded gravel, it'll be restored to original condition.
The street off of Sixth,
Yep.
that runs parallel with the highway, is that all FEMA? Or, I thought that was our project.
That's part of it's our project, yeah, that is. Back east of M26. Not the alley, but the road. That's part of the project.
Right, that's part of our project.
Part of our
That's our money.
Yeah.
And see,
But
we're
on
going all the way
that
to the
little
dead end.
extension down is FEMA. The dirt that's down there,
That little piece.
that little piece, I think is,
But behind the homes is ours, right?
is ours.
Okay.
The motion could be conditional on an estimate. That,
No, because I don't wanna come back to it if we don't,
No,
I just want you to
my
move.
thought was that we set a ceiling, we get an estimate of work, and I bring the estimate out for consensus of the board by signature. Sign off on the plan, because we're talking about a lot of roads he's gotta revisit. Plus, we're talking about a road that isn't part of the original offer, but the amended offer, plus we've got the rings at a minimum for the storm drain, incorporating the cost. I gotta work all of this into.
Yeah, so I'm assuming there, if you gotta take something, you're gonna have to choose something that may not get done, you know? Like the little section right here in front of the firehouse, for instance, or whatever that is. Was that one of those sections? It is.
That's the church coming up.
Yeah.
But it's not,
So, I mean, maybe you say, let's not do that little section,
it's
you
not a
know?
little section, that's a whole block.
Yeah, well, the rest of that's all blocks too, so,
Well, I would rather take this off than
the dead end portion.
the dead end portion and take off the main street.
Okay, so whatever, I'm just using that for an example. So if you wanna take a section off, you know, I just saying, at the supervisor's discretion, you know, that section may have to go, you know, because we can't afford it.
Or that, but give them a couple options. I think we're fine, I don't,
What I don't wanna do is, I don't wanna come back and have a special meeting just for this. That's what I'm trying to avoid. And if we have to have a special meeting, fine, but I'd rather just give you the option to go out there and get this done. I don't feel like you're gonna waste $100,000 on something, and, you know, and if you have to dump 500 feet of this or something like that, you gotta do it.
would you like to?
Once the motion is approved, made and supported,
I mean, you could add those.
discussion and approved, it'll give me the latitude to set up my conversation for tomorrow with John Sema and get him down here as quickly as possible to revisit, because we're not talking about an overlay, we're talking about grind and resurface.
I mean, you could just tell them that the community doesn't seem to approve of the overlay.
Would you like to restate your motion?
No, that's too hard.
I
You
got
got it written down?
Yeah.
She's got it written down, and just at the end of it, right, at the supervisor's discretion, small sections may be eliminated.
I do, I like it.
That's the motion. Is there support for the motion?
I'll support it.
Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote is required. Calling for a roll call vote, Ms. Hool.
Mr. Jenke?
Yes.
Mr. Wareham?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner? You don't vote, right? Okay.
I vote yes.
Okay.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for those of you that participated, attended. Those of you that attended and heard our discussion, very much appreciated. Going back to our agenda,
On the right.
is there a need for a 3-minute recess?
Yeah, 1 second.
Sure. Really? Yeah. We're in recess for 3 minutes.
Don't look into it for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Enjoy your night.
We just spent $100,000.
Talking with Mr. Seaman first thing in the morning.
Taking a break.
I'm jealous. I wish we could do it in Dollar Bay.
Let the record chair call.
They're horrible. That would make a difference. It's not like you guys ain't paying for it.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Is that the one that has a little gap?
No, let's reconvene.
Me too.
7:26.
This looks like a good place for a garage. I said, this looks like a good place for a garage, somebody thought.
We'll call the meeting back to order. Item 6 on our agenda, financial reports for
You said it was gonna be.
Township, Road Fund, Mason Wastewater Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water. The reports are in your packet. Do I have a motion to accept the financial reports for the General Fund, Road Fund, Mason Wastewater Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water? Ms. Gardner, is there support for the motion?
I'll support.
Ms. Hool? Any discussion on the motion? Any questions about any of the reports? If not, all in favor of approving the motion to accept the reports, please indicate by saying aye. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. 7, approval of payments of bills from the General Fund, Road Fund, Mason Fund, Tamarack City Water, and Osceola Township Water. Moved by Mr. Wareham to pay the bills. There's support for the motion. Ms. Gardner, any discussion on the bills to be paid or the approval of the bills already paid? This is an expending of resource. Let's have a roll call vote. Ms. Hool?
Mr. Jakey? Yes. Mr. Wareham? Gardner? Mr. Hokola?
Yes. Motion carries. Item 8, public comment. Anyone interested in addressing the Township Board has up to 3 minutes. If you'd like to make comment, Please identify yourself, and the floor will be yours for 3 minutes. That also includes anybody listening, teleconferencing in, or anybody participating by Zoom. Is there anyone that would like to address the Township Board?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good evening. This is Kristen. And I have one thing that I'd like to I guess make a comment about and say that I'm interested in information on. And that is the upcoming election for the November election. We're nearing the cutoff for when the candidates can apply. And this is an election year that has everyone, all of the township positions and some school board positions and various other positions open. But I'm interested in knowing if all of you are planning to run for election, and then if anybody is known as if anybody is going to be running as well. And then also I saw that there was a newsletter coming later, so I may have a comment later in the program, but I am curious as to whether or not what will be going out into the newsletter, which probably wouldn't be in time for anybody considering candidacy, but it is, an election time. So I don't see much going on to let people know that might be interested, and also to let people know whether or not all of you are planning to run for election for November. So that would be of interest, at least to myself, as someone who's interested in following the election. And that's it. I appreciate the Zoom, this format. Thank you guys, and thanks for Krista when you move the microphone around so that we can hear. That's really appreciated, and the chats and all that. So appreciate you guys adding this format to the meeting. And that's it. Thank you.
Krista, is there anything else you'd like to, excuse me, Kristen, is there anything else you'd like to add? Not everybody heard what you said.
I know she asked if they're all running, and I believe we are. She did ask that.
I don't know who they're.
Was it because I didn't speak loud enough?
Nobody that went through our count, our.
It's just, Kristen, it's just very echoey in here, so it's hard on one phone for everybody to hear because we're passing it down the table. But do you want answers right now to some of those questions, or do you want?
Sure. If there's any available, I think I would be interested, and perhaps other people on the phone would be interested.
Okay. Everybody on the board is running. As of right now, nobody's running against any of us. I believe that deadline is over unless you're going to be a write-in, and I don't know the date for that. I would have to check with the county clerk. And what was the other thing you were looking for?
Well, it was a mention of the newsletter, but when you said about running, I thought it was into July that candidates could apply. So you're saying that it's already passed?
You can if you're going to run nonpartisan. You have until July 16th.
Okay, so if you were wanting to run as either a Democrat or a Republican for any of the positions, that deadline is passed?
It has, yes.
And when was that deadline?
Remember? It was in April sometime.
Okay, but it doesn't have to be specific. I'm just learning about how local elections work. So.
I don't know the exact date, but it was in April.
In April, okay.
Mark Alford speaking. I do not belong to a political party, so I will be circulating or am circulating petitions. I intend to file before the July 16th deadline, and will be running as an independent in November, not with party affiliation.
Thank you. If someone else were to express interest, what would happen then for any of the positions? If they got the nomination, they got the signatures, how would they end up being reflected onto the ballot?
It just, once you get the petition, you get it signed, then it goes to the county clerk to be on the ballot.
Okay, so if 10 people showed up and were interested in one of those, in any of the positions, all of the names would go onto the ballot if they had enough signatures. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so it's not like when you think of primaries and you have a runoff, it's not like that. It would be whoever is available. I mean, whoever qualifies.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, if it's any different, you can just shoot me a email on that with that clarification.
Okay.
And then I had said that I'm interested in the newsletter, which you guys will be discussing later.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on in the agenda, but should someone change their mind and wish to take advantage of a public comment session at the end of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to do so. Thank you. Reports. Assessor's report is in your packet. There is an action item attached to that will be addressed under new business, item A, relative to the Board of Review meeting in July. There is a maintenance report in your packet. Dollar Bay Fire Department report in your packet.
No.
No?
He's here.
Oh, he's here too. Okay, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Ron? Thought it was in your packet. I must have misread something.
We had 2 calls, one for a grass fire, brush fire, and we also paid out for one for full burn on Sunday night, the rain that we had. We lighted up and big bonfire, and we got it talking, and we didn't know what time we were going on. And at the same time, Dollar Bay and that boat had break up down. Other than that, that's it.
Thanks, Ron. And my apologies to you. I see the Tamarack City Fire Department report in here, and when I filled out my little note sheet that said Fire Department, and I assumed it was yours. I apologize. Dollar Bay First Responders.
Nothing.
Nothing. Tamarack City Fire Department in your packet, and Mr. Klein is here. Steve, anything to add?
No.
Thank you, sir. Tamarack City Utility Board in your packet from the most recent meeting. Torch Lake Sewage Authority, they met via Zoom and or teleconference, if I understood Mr. Westfall correctly, and he's still working on the minutes from the last meeting, and unfortunately he could not join us this evening, so there is not a report from the Sewage Authority in your packet. Supervisor's report, I will be as brief as humanly possible. I talked earlier today with Pat Zimnick relative to his work at the Tamarack City Park. If you take a ride by, there's equipment there. He hopes to have the holes filled by the weekend. I've been in contact with Trico in Kingsford. They're open again. The name may not be familiar to many of you. It is a record disposal company. They're bonded, and I will be bringing some township boxes down to them, along with some personal boxes that are in need of destruction from my former place of employment, the coordinating agency. Everything's under lock and key. I will be going down as early as this weekend, if not early next week, but there are some records, files, or whatever that need to be disposed of from the old agency, and the township records that need disposal will go into the same shredder at the same time. Ordinances remain under review, and there's an idea being kicked around that starting perhaps as early as the latter part of this month, if the board is receptive to the idea, we would begin by posting ordinances monthly on our website, calling for community comment on the relevance, importance, and any suggested amendments to the ordinances. I'll give you 2 quick examples. one I'm working on right now, and there's information in your handouts tonight about parking on sidewalks and addressing that issue. We have a burn ordinance that careful analysis of is really more an odor ordinance than it is a burn ordinance. And we've talked about updating, amending, refining, making more user-friendly. We thought if we involved the community, that might be beneficial. So the intent, if there's no concern or objection, would be to post them for a period of time, seek input, and then incorporate that input where appropriate and applicable into a proposed amendment, if desired, to the ordinance. Have those then drawn up, reviewed by legal counsel, and ultimately come back to the township board for approval. And upgrade and update is, I guess, a way to phrase it, with community involvement. So that we ideally would start sometime this month. Pardon? We do. And it's, all the ordinances remain as is until amended, Bob. You're absolutely right. There is one. But if there's an opportunity to maybe take something that's very good and make it better, and we get some input from the community that assists us in that process, hopefully we're better served all across Osceola Township. But you're right. We're not talking about rewriting from scratch. We're talking about tweaking, if it's necessary, existing ordinances. Scott, C and I spoke. We had approved access to the dredge, but the historic tour has been postponed for a year because of the pandemic. They will get back in touch with us. On a related note, I've talked with representatives of the Copper Country Soccer Association. They put in a request for the use of our ball field, and they're not sure they're going to have a season yet. So that is up in the air and, in effect, set aside until they formally approach us again, if you will, should they be going forward with some type of season. Krista's been working on the newsletter, so I would defer to her, and I think it's further on in our agenda, so I simply noted it on mine. The parking notice, there's a draft in your packet of a, if you will, a handout type distribution to alert people to the fact that we have an ordinance. They shouldn't be parking on the sidewalk, and giving them an opportunity to address it quickly. It was my intent to print those with any amendments or alterations you believe are necessary to improve it, and take that and, where appropriate and necessary, stick it behind a windshield wiper so people get it, read it, and in a few days follow up with it and see if there's any response that's favorable. I know there's some particular places in Dollar Bay, perhaps elsewhere, where there are issues around parking on the sidewalk that create a hazard for drivers to see around corners, for people trying to access the sidewalks for walking. They have to go around parked vehicles. We'll see if this has any impact. Hopefully it will. I'm not familiar with everyone, so knocking on doors, especially with apartment buildings, I'm not sure I get to everyone. But I think I can leave it on a windshield, and hopefully it'll invoke the desired response. So it's a few things that I'm working on beyond what's already on the agenda. So any questions, concerns, comments?
Anything on the DZAC property?
Pardon?
DZAC property, I didn't get something at all.
The blight issue? Yep, I've been alerted to it, and I'm trying to reach him. There's also, thank you for the input, Ron, there's also a blight concern up on Store Street in Tamarack location, up on the northeast side of 41, up the southern end of the location, or precinct 4. First time I went by it, I think there were 5 or 6 dilapidated vehicles in the front yard. I went by it a few days later, and it was down to 2 or 3. But I'll be contacting that person also before the weekend. Point well made. Been by the building, and yeah. It's in need of attention.
Anybody have a pen I could borrow? I have 3 that don't write.
Here, take your pick.
That's a moisture drink here or something.
What about the water and the rain and the potential for cleaning out the catch basin stuff. It's not on the agenda, and I didn't know if you were gonna report on it in your
Yeah,
report.
thank you for reminding me. I talked with Dale today, over by the site for the community garden. There's.
I got a picture from this morning from Steve, so from Jeff Stevens, so, and it wasn't too good, so.
Asked it, with regards to that area, asked that it be mowed, and then I'm contacting Osceola Township, which has done, drain clean out for us in the past, to see about their availability. That's a call I intend to make before the weekend. So, following up on it.
Another thing that, in conjunction with the parking stuff, has been a lot. I mean, last night, the guy on the corner right by my place was parked, I swear he was parked on the road, on the main road, on, Third Street or whatever. He was parked so far out on that. One of the things that might help too is, I know it'll cost us more, but maybe it's time to start looking at, as a part of our pavement marking stuff, between the fog line and the sidewalk, there should be sections on the corners that maybe are hashed out as no parking at all within some of these corner distances. Especially on Third Street, on Main Street, where you have sidewalks on both sides, and I mean, he was perpendicular parking in a place that I think there's barely enough room to parallel park, so, yeah. I don't know who is bringing this up, but I'm thinking that maybe some of our corners need to be addressed in a manner of saying you can't park within this distance of the corner. And we don't have curbs really that we can put a yellow mark on, but we could, between the fog line and the sidewalk, we could hatch a section prior to the adjoining road.
Try to eliminate parking right up to.
I'm not saying it's gonna work, I'm just saying we can try to, maybe we can put it out there, you know? Somebody's still gotta enforce it, but.
I'll be talking with both the road commission and the sheriff's department about it.
I'm just throwing that out there for an idea.
Point well made. I asked Dale.
Like the guy in the corner that I was talking about, he has a driveway on the side, he can park cars over there, I don't know why they have to park where they are, you know, so.
We'll see if a friendly reminder has any impact. If it does not, then we'll be moving towards the enforcement clauses in the ordinance, to get people's attention. That's part of the problem.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that you take the soft approach, but eventually you're gonna have to back it up, you know.
Agreed.
We'll see what happens here.
No argument from me.
Yeah.
We're trying to be.
And you look at, like, the city of Houghton, they give their warning, like, prior to the winter, where you're not allowed to park on the streets anymore in the wintertime. And, they give that warning on whatever date it is, and after that, you're told.
Yeah.
That's that.
Point well taken. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, updates, or issues that I have not addressed? Any questions? Nothing? Thank you. Moving right along. Unfinished business, proposed contract with Kendrick and Bordeaux. These are the people in Marquette, a legal firm that we've already taken action on, but there was a follow-up to that action about roll forward hours on the retainer. Two things quickly. I did talk recently with Pat Greeley, and we were represented by them several days ago now on a scheduled hearing in Houghton County by him personally, relative to a like ordinance issue picking up where our previous attorney was. The problem is that nothing happened at that hearing because the district court judge, of course, had to recuse himself and step aside, so the hearing was postponed and will be rescheduled. The party in question, though, has done substantial improvement to the grounds in and around their property over the last several days, from the standpoint of personal inspection, in part, I think, because of the construction taking place on the street next to the dwelling. So hopefully that will continue, but it is better than it was, if you will, from the standpoint of, debris and trash. 6th and M26 on the corner. With regards to the contract, I had anticipated getting an amendment to the agreement previously forwarded that would indicate that up to 2 hours could be rolled forward to the next month. So, for example, if we have, just using ordinances as an example, we have a number of changes, upgrades to the ordinance, and we'd like to have them reviewed. Our retainer agreement with them has 2 hours a month. But if we use one in 1 month and one in another month, and we're up to now 4 in the next month available to us, we might use a month like that to take and have ordinances reviewed and not go past the limit where we get into an hourly rate that is significant relative to legal review. So I had anticipated that amendment and that upgrade to our contract from him, but he did say he was quite busy, so unfortunately, a late afternoon check at the office, it did not arrive via email. So it should be along momentarily, and it will be then updated and executed. We've already dealt with Travis Engineering, UP Engineering. We're down to new business. Board of Review, there's a resolution in the packet from the assessor asking that the Board of Review meeting date be moved, I believe, from the 21st, a Tuesday, to Thursday, the 23rd, but that move will require board action on the resolution. Has everyone had a chance to review it? It's a single-page document. Is there a motion to adopt the alternate start date for the Board of Review by resolution from the board? Ms. Gardner, is there support for the motion? Second. Mr. Janke, discussion on the motion. Hearing none. All in favor of the resolution to adopt an alternate start date for the Board of Review meeting scheduled for July, now 21st, now the 23rd. Please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a new start date.
You see that?
Motion by, support by.
There's 2.
My apologies. I thought we were addressing all of the resolution in one motion. It appears that there's a call for 2 because it is a resolution. May I then have a motion to rescind the previous motion? Ms. Gardner, support. Mr. Wareham. All in favor of rescinding the previous motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now, back to the process on adopting an alternate date. The first motion is at a regular Township Board meeting held June 10th, 2020. The following resolution was offered by... I need someone to offer the resolution. Ms. Gardner. And supported by Mr. Janke. Any discussion on the motion offering the resolution? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion to offer the resolution, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion by and support by to adopt the following resolution. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
No motion.
Ms. Houle, do I have support to adopt the resolution? Mr. Wareham. Further discussion on adoption of the resolution? Hearing none. Since there is a call for the yeas and nays, we'll have a roll call vote on the adoption of the resolution. Ms. Houle.
Mr. Janke? Yes. Mr. Wareham? Gardner? Yes. Osceola?
Yes.
Myself? Yes.
5 yeas, no nays, no abstention. Thank you very much, and I apologize for not catching that. I read this thing twice. That's on me. We've addressed the road commission issues. Item C under new business. I apologize. We've addressed the road commission issues specific to Tamarack City. There's also an offer on the initial offer page about First Street in Dollar Bay for $105,000, 1,650 feet. Orally, there was a discussion to amend the offer to the first 550 feet, I believe, to fix the worst of.
So she's trying to get from the highway to what, the first intersection?
Just past the first intersection, and it would cost about a third of the offer.
How much money do we even have?
Well, I'm not sure that we have enough in the account at this moment, but it would be done exclusively by the road commission. May I suggest that we table this until our meeting on revenues on the 24th? We'll have a clearer picture of what's in Precinct 2's account by then, because we have a significant commitment to work at the school that needs to be subtracted from our total.
Yeah, there's commitments out there already.
Yep, there are for Precinct 2. Do I have a motion to table this until the 24th?
Make that motion.
Mr. Jenke, is there support for the motion to table?
I'll support.
Ms. Houle. All in favor of the motion to table the offer relative to Precinct 2 road repair on First Street, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you. Item C, newsletter. Ms. Gardner, if you would, please. I'm sorry, Bob? Confidence report has to go out by July 1st.
Hi, can you say that louder? We can't hear.
Bob, could you repeat that a little bit louder, please? Let me bring.
Thank you.
Consumer confidence report for the water department has to go out July 1st.
Thank you, Bob. Does that report require board action?
No, I don't think so.
Just asking. Not if it required board action, we take it up on the 24th. If it doesn't, thank you for that update. Anything else, Chris, on the newsletter? Item D, asking has been referenced a couple of times already this evening for a special meeting to deal with resources.
Excuse me, I'm really sorry. I didn't hear anything on the newsletter. Could you repeat it?
It's going out with the tax bills.
Okay, so is that in July or in June?
July, right? They have to be out by July 1st.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item D again is special meeting of the board. And the topic will be primarily resources and budgets.
We're just going to also discuss some of the stuff that's coming up with the potential budget cuts that we're going to have.
Yes.
And we're going to have some updated information on that.
That's our hope, that we'll have a clearer picture than we do today about potential revenue sharing loss in the state of Michigan. We'll have closed out a lot of our accounts. Krista and Tracy have been updating resources will have, I think, a more precise picture as to what's available, where it is, what we can do with it, and plan for anticipated budget reductions in a more meaningful way. In a couple of weeks, we should have more information to state side revenue sharing reductions, as I referenced a moment ago. We also have some renewals we have to explore some millage issues around renewals. That will be on the agenda for the 24th. Not new millage, but simply renewed millage. We'll be talking about fee structures and everything else. For example, there was a modest franchise fee increase for cable subscribers in Osceola Township. But my understanding is the vast majority, if not all of that money, comes to the township. But at least on my bill, there was a rate hike, the franchise fee. So I'm assuming there is a tiny bit more money in the pipeline for us with regards to franchise fees. So hopefully we'll have gathered all of that, be in a position to talk more definitively.
He said it depends. A lot of people are dumping their Charter Spectrum cable.
That's what that may be why my fees are going up.
I don't know.
And ideas for additional items relative to the special meeting. We'll try to stay focused on revenue, budgets, and expenditures. Of course, it'll be a meeting of the board, so we could add any agenda item that we deem necessary or relevant. Does 6 p.m. on the 24th work for everyone? At the office in Dollar Bay, thank you. The meeting will be available by existing means, teleconference, Zoom, and of course, hopefully, given the slightly higher range now for people to participate personally, we might be able to accommodate a few additional people in our space if we rearrange. I'm asking the board, do we need a motion for a special meeting?
I'll motion.
Moved by Ms. Wool to hold a special meeting, previously indicated, for budgets and resources on the 24th at 6 p.m. Is there support for the motion? Mr. Worm supports. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to meet on the 24th in special session, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Are there any additional items to come before the board this evening?
Yes.
We're in a public comment section or additional items. Mr. Matlow.
I was supposed to bring it up at the water meeting, I didn't. I would like permission for an ad, in the paper. I lost the locator. And I'm pretty sure I lost it here in Tamarack, but I probably think that I can probably get it over. And with the offer of a reward, it's found. And if we can't find it,
We just bought it.
Can we put something like that on Facebook too, on my page or yours? Because lots of people share that kind of stuff. I mean, as far as this, right, I think we should.
Is that okay by you, Bob, that we put it out in the community by social media as well? Is it something that might be covered by our insurance? We can ask.
Oh, I can ask.
We'll inquire there too.
We don't know.
That stuff happens sometimes.
Is there something specific you'd like from us, Bob? You knew.
I was down here 3 times looking in my credit for this week, I think.
I mean, we could put an ad in the paper, that's fine, but social media seems to be a little bit more, gets to more people. So. But we could do both. Huh?
Put it out with the next water bill too, maybe?
Yeah, just
Do
do
that.
that, for sure.
See what we can find. Anything else, Bob? Before I call for one more opportunity for public comment, we have a recommendation from the Osceola Water Board to expend up to $5,000 on new equipment Do I have a motion to accept and approve the recommendation from the water board to permit the water system manager to expend up to $5,000 on needed and necessary equipment for the water system?
Is that just dollar based? I'm just asking. Yeah.
Some of them may be used here, but it's
Okay.
it's not a 50/50 thing.
I don't think it's 50/50 anyway.
Two-thirds, one-third, but yeah.
But, I'm just asking if it's mostly a dollar basing or not.
Oh, you just know us, it's always been a 2/3.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Mr. Jenke, do I have support for the motion?
Support.
Ms. Hool, any further discussion on the motion? Aaron, any additional questions? We're good? Expending of resources, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Jenke?
Hey.
Mr. Wareham? Ms. Gardner? Yes. Mr. Hopewell?
Yes,
Myself, yes.
thank you. Anything else from board members before I call for public comment? Yes. Ms. Gardner?
In the packet was the, email from Jim Hopkins with, the period cover May 3rd to May 30th.
Yes.
So we need to make a motion to approve the payment of that.
Thank you very much. That would be item number... I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Kristen did not take it back when she concluded. My apologies to people who are listening. Do I have a motion to approve, authorize the bill on behalf of UP Engineering?
A motion.
Ms. Hool, do I have a support? We have a support from Ms. Gardner. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Jenke?
Abstain. Funds directly related to my company.
Mr. Wareham?
Yes.
Gardner? Yes. Hopewell?
Yes. No, 4 in favor, no negatives, 1 abstention. Thank you. Anything else before I call for public comment one more time?
11B1.
Thank you.
Oh.
We've addressed this at a previous meeting. We've authorized 24-foot width, length for Osceola Township residents. Unlike my first experience on the Okarainen Road, I've been on it twice now in the last week, north and south, counting houses and openings, and have conveyed the information to Mr. Haryu at the Road Commission. We do not have an estimate back from him yet as to cost, but the amount of the road that's in Osceola Township from the Waysau Road to, I believe it's where Franklin and Calumet meet, or down where we end as we jog into the Okarainen Road, it's approximately 1 mile. There are 8 to 10 buildings, dwellings, garages, and a trailer, if my count was correct, on that piece of road. The suggestion is that we 24 feet by 150 to 200 feet. I'm waiting for the math from Kevin at the Road Commission. I'm guessing the cost will be to do our section, both sides of the road, as we indicated, will be between $1,000 and $2,000 based on the cost
For each one of those?
No, for the whole stretch.
No.
We're not doing all the entire mile because he doesn't recommend. It's brush and wooded area, not too many openings, so covering so many feet where there's their opening and or their driveway. So 100, 150, some may be a little. So I'm estimating based on the numbers I've seen, but I don't have hard figures from him. I gave him information. Orlando, we're supposed to get back in touch with each other this week. But I think we've already approved it. It's just looking at the cost, but I don't have a final figure from him. And I apologize for missing that during the discussion. Thank you.
I mean, that precinct road fund is easily can handle that.
Yeah, I think we have
we can
six,
pave it at
close to six figures, if not six figures, I think, do we not? We have sufficient revenue. I talked with them, as you suggested at the last meeting, about other, roads that could use oiling, but there are very few people that reside on them, and there's a combination of townships again.
There's something more that needs to be done up there?
Well, for example, Golf Course Road running up from here, from Tamarack City up, is, a lot of it's in Osceola
If
Township.
you go down and around the corner on Golf Course Road, it's paved, but it's horrible.
Oh, it is, yeah,
It's almost as bad as the lower section that they're redoing here because of the FEMA stuff.
it's almost as bad as First Street.
It's really bad.
Yeah, it is.
That's not our township.
No, I think
But
that is.
part of it is Osceola up there, part of it is Calumet.
Okay.
Part of the golf course is in Osceola Township.
That I know.
Most of it's in Calumet. But the golf course road is, at least on the east side, a good chunk of it, if not the entire length coming up, the Hungarian Falls Road over here, is, in Osceola Township. If I understand the maps correctly.
Go down the hill, number 6, folder 6.
Okay.
Go down the hill, before you get to the bottom, it changes from a newer pavement to an old crappy pavement, and then it goes down and around the corner, and it's really bad.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, that is.
Yeah. 100 yards of pavement is terrible.
I would assume that change in pavement right there
Maybe the township line.
is probably the township line, but I don't know for sure.
Well, I can inquire. We'll find out. But there are,
I'd rather, if it wasn't the golf course, I'd almost rather it be gravel. You know, except for I know that they're not gonna want all that dust on that green right there, so.
and the houses are sparse and they're recessed
I don't know,
significantly
like,
from the
they keep
road.
building houses up there. There's like 2 houses built in the last couple of years. So, right there on that corner.
Well, I'll continue to ask.
Yeah, so.
Our focus right now is exclusively on the overrun.
Right there.
There's plenty of money to pay for it,
There is.
and we're going the full width. If you'll indulge me for 30 seconds, I must give Kevin the word of the day, because we were talking about 12-foot less. He says, in some instances, they put 12 feet down the middle of a 24-foot wide road. And I just burst out laughing, and I said, that sounds like something I do. And he said, think about it, you got 2 tires on the chlorine and 2 on the dirt, going in both directions. And he said, it really has no impact. And I said, yeah, but that sounds like something I do. He got a chuckle out of that, and I was already laughing. I'll follow up. Thank you. Public comment, is there anything else anyone would like to add or ask of the township board, or comment on your behalf to the township?
Mr. Schmidt, can you hear me? Hello? Can you
Hello?
hear me?
Not very well.
Okay, let me get a little closer. I will try to make it as clear as possible. We still have the virus. There is still a possibility we could get an infection. It's not likely because it doesn't appear that we interface with many outsiders, but summer is here, and there will be more outsiders and more opportunity to become infected. So what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to have a meeting in person, it would seem you're going to need to get a sound system and sufficient microphones for each board member, and also an additional one for any person who would be in an audience to speak to the board. It's just impossible to hear. As I mentioned in a note, I missed at least 75% of the meeting, and I appreciate the offer of receiving the minutes, but I need to be able to participate in real time in order to know what's going on. So I would appreciate the board addressing this at its next meeting, and hopefully if you can find a suitable way of safe distancing physically, then I would suggest that we go back to a full Zoom virtual meetings, which allows all the audio to be heard by everyone who's listening in. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comment.
Mark?
Anyone else?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes?
Hi. Mark, I just wanted to say that I appreciated your idea about requesting community comments on ordinances. And I hope that if you proceed with that, that you'll make that available and in some way that's easy for people to find out about, because that is welcome, and it would be nice to preview what you're working on. So I just wanted to encourage you on that and say I thought that was a very good idea. Thank you. And I want to add on to that on the Osceola Township website, there is a way to get onto an email list, but I've never gotten any emails from that list. And that might be, if that works, a vehicle to let people know that you have an ordinance available for previewing in an easy way. I don't know, but the more that it's easily available for people to find out about, the more easily people can participate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a comment?
Yes, this is Horst Schmidt. I have a question. Since there is talk of the legislature cutting expenses, and usually that includes the cutting revenue sharing, have you heard anything from the Department of Treasury regarding anything, a warning that your budgets may be, or not your budget, but your revenue that you get from the state may be reduced? Thank you.
Of course, just to pick up on it, our meeting on the 24th is a meeting on revenue and budgets for the township, and we will have that information, we hope, in hand, or at least the direction that the state is moving in relative to revenue sharing for local units of government. And that meeting will be held on the 24th at the regular meeting place, the township office in Dollar Bay, and the suggestions about equipment et al. Will be taken under advisement. We'll see what we can do to make it a more hospitable environment for participation with the township board.
Well, thank you for that, and I just wanted to make you aware that, well, I shouldn't say make you aware. I want to know, is the public invited to the meeting on the 24th?
Absolutely. It's a township board meeting. It'll be open to the public, all means possible.
Okay, thank you then.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? Anyone in attendance? Hearing none, thank you very much for participating with the township board meeting and the water board meeting. If you were here for both, we appreciate your feedback and comment. We'll take your recommendations under advisement. Anything else from the board? Hearing none, a motion to adjourn is in order.
A motion.
3 motions to adjourn. Would one of you...
Don was first.
Mr. Wareham was first. Do I have support for the motion?
Support.
Ms. Houle supported. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
You want to sign that?
Difficulty. That's why I took my mask off.
I know, you
Here, I
can't
just
hear. It's funny, it's like, you have it on.